Hey students, it's Professor Cocazella here. What I intend to do is to make you an overview video for each and every unit that we'll be working on during the course of the semester. And here we go with the Unit 1 video. As you can tell from the front page of the learning module, unit number 1 is titled Dimensions, and there's only going to be 2 assignments that you're going to be doing for me. The reason for starting out this way is that we are working towards you all writing a very intense, very in-depth, wide-ranging, not wide-ranging, but an in-depth research paper. And we want to explore debatable topics, that is, topics that have different sides. People can think this way about it or that way about it. Some of the topics are very black and white. I think that this is true and this is not true. This should be banned. This should be legalized. This should not be legalized. But some topics are a little bit more subtle, and what you're going to be exploring is different ways to think about a problem, different solutions to problems, and that sort of thing. So the topics you're going to be picking, we'll deal with that a little bit later on, but as a way to sort of undergird that whole process is for you guys to start thinking about the way that you consider certain debatable topics. How have your experiences, your life experiences, how have the people around you, how have your relationships, how have your culture and ethnicity impacted what it is that you believe, your biases, your experiences, your knowledge of certain things, and where you get your information from. They all sort of feed into your particular beliefs and concepts. So we want to explore that in a little bit more depth. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to divide up these sort of areas of your life and consider how they impact your beliefs, your thoughts, your opinions. And these areas, quote unquote, are considered or called, in this case, dimensions. And they include things like a dimension of family. What kind of family were you raised with? One of the dimensions is cultural. What is your particular background? Where is your family from? One of the dimensions is social. In other words, what is your peer group like? Who are your friends? And why do you choose them to be your friends? And so on and so forth. So what we start out with is a PowerPoint that describe and define these dimensions, and you'll be doing some note taking as you look at the PowerPoint. In other words, they're going to be defined for you, and then you consider your own particular circumstances. How is that dimension manifested in your own life? So that's number one, doing the PowerPoint and getting the idea of how to define these dimensions. And then after that PowerPoint, you're going to go back. There are 8 dimensions that are listed, and there are scenarios at the end of the PowerPoint, and they really present these fictional characters, and you consider how they will think about a topic based on their dimensions. And this will become clear to you when we watch the PowerPoint. After that, that's going to be sort of a class group kind of assignment. After that, you're going to go back to the 8 dimensions and pick 3, and you're going to write about them, just a paragraph each. Now, since this is your first assignment, we're starting out slow and easy. You'll be able to use first person. This is just 3 paragraphs. It's not a huge essay, so it's not a huge undertaking. And to make it even easier for you, I've even inserted in the learning module samples that you can actually read and see. Hey, listen, this is what the final product is supposed to be like. Then the secondary assignment for this unit is going to be pairing or matching one of the 3 dimensions that you've chosen with a video that discusses that dimension in further detail. So for example, if you have chosen the spiritual dimension and you've written about what your faith life is like and how you come to terms with higher powers and what you think about your spirituality and that sort of thing, that's particularly important to you, then you would find a YouTube or a TED Talk video that deals with religion or spirituality, and you're going to essentially match them up. In other words, it's really more or less a compare and contrast essay. How does this video pertain to what I think about spirituality? And there are instruction packets in this learning module for each of these assignments. So you'll be able to read about them in further detail. You don't have to just rely on this particular recording. And we're also going to incorporate the preliminary reading from the textbook, and the textbook really matches up well with these particular units. So for Unit 1, the textbook reading, as you can see right from the screen, is Introduction to Argument, which is the first chapter or first section of practical argument. And then you're also going to read chapter 2, so 3 through 58, and then 61 through 85. This is kind of extensive, but you're going to have 2 weeks to do it. What I usually do is I give you a quiz on the reading, so I know that you've done it. It really, really, really is helpful. And I want you guys to do textbook reading outside of class. I don't want to spend class time saying, open up your books to page 43, read the paragraph, and we'll talk about it. I find that to be a waste of time. So reading is outside of class, and it's backup. It goes along with what the assignments are, so it can always be helpful to you. So that is the story for Unit 1. I'm going to go back into the unit and just show you the table of contents, and obviously you can do this yourself. So number 1 on the screen is going to be this video. I'm going to drop it in here and it'll be the first thing in the table of contents. But then after that is the PowerPoint itself that I referenced. And then after that is that dimensions worksheet. In other words, as you watch the PowerPoint, you're going to be jotting down your own notes on that worksheet. Nothing that has to be handed in. It's just helpful. And then after that is a packet for assignments 1.1 and 1.2. 1.1, the dimensions paragraphs that I mentioned, the 3 paragraphs, is explained really completely in this instruction sheet. I get into 1.2 a little bit, but I also have a separate instruction packet for 1.2. And then here you go. Here are the samples. Okay, and please be advised, when I show you samples, I don't want to see something that looks exactly like the sample. You use it as a model, but I don't want you copying it. And there's also some instructions, further instructions on 1.1 and what it should look like and what these samples represent, etc. And then here you go. Here is 1.2, the TED Talk, the video that you're going to choose and pair with your dimension. And I even have some sample thesis statements in there. Now, certainly all this is going to be discussed in further detail in class. This is just to give you an overview of what's going on. And then down below that, I have the upload file for 1.2. 1.1 is going to be given to me as a hard copy in class, and we'll talk due dates. But 1.2, I'm going to have you just drop into an upload file just so we can get used to that way of giving me an assignment. Okay, so any questions, bring them to class. Otherwise, we'll talk about this all in further detail in class.